Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm very pleased to present you probably the best game of 2022 in my view so far. The players, it's Shin Jin Seo, the black player, and then white player is Mi Yuting. So Mi is pretty much the founder of the Mi's Joseki, or the Joseki that's named after him. And Shin Jin Seo, he is currently the #1 Go player in the world. Shin is playing as black in this game. And then about the game, it's actually the current Nongshin Cup. It's the game that was played just a few days ago. And then the dramatic part is that the game actually ended up with Mi lost on time, but it was an accident because he actually clicked before the Biomi ended, but somehow I guess there was a network failure or something. So actually at the end they decided to make a rematch. But this game, although it was not finished, it is arguably the best game. In my view, it is the best game of 2022 so far, and I will show you why. So the game starts out with black taking the Moyo, and then white is getting a little bit of territory on the side. Black immediately expands with the Moyo. White counter pincers with a 3-space high extension. Black counter pincers. So here it's just a little bit of a Joseki lesson. This is not a good time for you to play the 3-3 Joseki, because after we play out the variation, after this exchange, locally it's an equal position, but now white's very solid shape is pointing directly at black's influence, which means that pretty much this influence was just vanished, and this is not a great opening choice. What's worse is that after you play a move on the outside, white might follow up with N3 move, now looking at the cutting point here, and this is extremely painful. Black does not have a great way to fix this cutting point. So black cannot actually choose to play the 3-3 Joseki. Black plays the counter pincer. White peeps, black defends. And now white settles on the side with a lot of territory. Black hops out. White plays the defense here, because if you just run the center, black can pressure the corner. So Shin in this game, it's kind of unusual for Shin to play this aggressively. Some other choices are maybe cap white from this direction. And even before that, black could have chosen to just play more solid by playing h4. There's a connection underneath, and this puts more pressure on the k4 stone. In the actual game, black caps directly on top, white peeps, and then black indirectly defend the cutting point. If you just connect here, white can actually attach at j6. This g4 stone is going to help out the j6. So not only white will get out, but also white will counterattack the black's 3 stones. And this is a very worrisome position for black. Instead, black played more flexibly by attaching the corner. White hanes, black blocks on top. White directly push and cut on top. Next up, white hanes trying to break out. Black prevents that. White connects. Then black plays a tiger's mouth. This is Sente looking at the push here. White now jumps at g2. This not only fixed the cutting, but also is trying to kill the 4 stones in the corner. Black Ataris, and then extends the liberties in the corner. So at this point, basically, Black cannot rush to live here, because if you live, the outside is going to collapse for Black. The outside is too weak right now to withstand this attack. So in the actual game, Black decides to counterattack by pushing at J4. White connects, and then Black hops down at J2. White now attacks at G6. So here, White can obviously settle with F2. Black connects, White hanes. So White would have 5 liberties and Black would only have 4 liberties. But Black will follow up by playing F7. And then because of some liberty issues, White has to play extra move to fix the Aji with the C4 stone by playing C7. So locally this is a success for White, but Black was able to keep the base and a little bit of influence on the outside. So this is more or less a playable position for Black. So White did not want that. White actually wanted more by directly, basically what Mi was trying to do is just to knock Shin out with one shot. White cuts, Black turns, and after this exchange, Black has to play the empty triangle. So if Black plays here, White can Atari. If Black connects, White can just capture. So Black needs to play E7. White turns, Black connects, and then White Ataris on top. This is a Sente. After which White just directly push a couple times. This is already putting Black on the edge of a cliff. So at this point, if these guys die, right, this would be the end of game immediately, right? So if these guys die, the corner dies unconditionally, and that's game over. So, for example, for amateur level players, we might just play the Hane and then connect. It looks like the correct move to play, but when White attaches the B6, this is probably just over, right? It's very difficult for Black to break out. And then there's no chance to try to capture White's group over here because White already has an eye. So usually when you are in this situation, the correct move is always this Kosumi here. This is probably the best move in most cases when you are pushed down onto the third line. White obviously needs to defend this. Next move, Black plays the tiger's mouth and White will have to block at B9. So at this point, still looks very difficult. There's no chance to kill the corner here. And it's just very hard. If you try to clamp out, this doesn't work because White can Atari here. If you connect, White plays the tiger's mouth, and that's the time for Black to resign because everything just died. But if you fight the ko here, White can capture. Black has only one ko threat at G8. White will Atari. When you take back, White can actually connect. And then when you try to capture, White will take this. And then where is your ko threat? Black absolutely has 0 ko threat on the board. Even this is not a ko threat because White can just capture. When you try to capture White, White can capture Black first. So that would be game over if Black just plays the clamp. But obviously it's not so easy because Shin is the #1 player in the world, and then he's done so many life and death exercises. In the actual game, he played correctly by cutting at g8 first. White turns, and then he cuts at c9. So this is a very fierce counterattack. White has to be extremely careful here. If white just extends, black can extend out at g9. This is a sente because white has to fix the problem here. If you play something like this, there's already tons of problem with this. So let's see. If you play out like this, yeah, so this turn already works out. If you, right? So now either these guys gonna die or these guys gonna die. Black has a lot of liberties here. The best you can try is to play something like that. I can just turn a couple times and then enclose. So white only has 3 liberties, so these guys will die. So the point is, white's correct move is probably play d10, but black can just turn here. White needs to fix, and then black can come back and capture the 4 stones over here. And there's no way to break out for white. You can verify by yourself. All right, so white cannot extend out. White has to Atari on the first line. Because of lack of co-threat, black has to connect. White Ataris, black extends, and then this is all just forcing moves. After which, white decides to, white has to go back and fix the cutting point. So this is probably the first, sorry, my mouse just fell off. This is probably the first critical point. The amount of reading in here is absolutely insane. This is not just a regular 5-dan Sumego on Weiqi 101. This is a 9p professional reading fighting game, fighting problem, I would say. So at this point, first of all, what if black runs out? If black runs out like this, white has a Tsuji, that is to play h10. This is not trying to net black here, because black can push out like this. If black pushes out like this, white can just turn here. Black keep pushing, we can just keep extending. Black keeps going, we can just keep playing here. Looks like there's a Tsuji, that is to play the Atari and then net. If you can find this sequence, that means you're a very strong player. Unfortunately though, this is countered by the Atari here. If black turns, white can keep Ataring, and then black is dead. So once we have this in mind, since white has this Tsuji, directly running out is not going to work. Which is why in the actual game, Shin decided to turn here first. So against this turn, to prevent black running out, the move to prevent black running out and then making that variation not working for black is to squeeze black's liberty. But turns out white cannot do this because black can Atari on the first line. If white connects, we can Atari one more time, and then black can jump at d13. This is a sente. If white fixes the center, then we can play here, and then white only has 2 liberties left, and that's game over. So means that white has to play the b13. After this exchange, now when black runs out, if white plays the old Tsuji, white has to play here. So first of all, why does white have to just extend out? It's because if you play here, black will Atari first and then come back and capture the stones over here. So you might be wondering, well, what's the problem with that? The problem is that if you try to capture white's 6 stones, well, congratulations, you have successfully captured the 6 stones, but it turns out it's not important because when black extends, this is officially game over because now these guys are dead. Because these guys are dead, this group over here is perfectly safe, meaning that this group has desperately trying to live. And then probably it can't even live, right? This is just not working. So white has to extend, right? So for some of the double digit cube player, I just want to be clear about why you have to extend over here. And don't really worry if you don't understand exact mechanics of this fighting, because this is extremely complicated. There's a lot of reading behind all of this. But let's see what happens after white gets out. Now black and Atari and then net the white's group here. And that's officially game over. Looks like white can struggle, but this is more like a single digit cube problem. When black connects, you can pause the video, think about how you can destroy white here. And then when you come back, right, this is how it will play out. So white can play here first, but doesn't really matter because after these Ataris, white can resign right now, right? This is all captured. All right, so that explains why this D13 is so fatal for white locally over here. So this amount of reading is absolutely insane, but it was not a problem for Shin to find this move. This is an excellent Tsuji here. In the actual game, Mi had to defend with the C12 move. So at this point, black has the choice to now run out. Because black has the extra liberty, the net works. So white has no choice but to push here. Black can play out the Kosumi, forcing white to capture, and then black can come back and capture the 4 stones, and then white will Hane at A2 to capture the corner. The result of this is white was able to capture the 6 stones over here as well as the 7 stones over here. Black was able to capture the center 4 stones as well as saving this whole group. The result of this is a slightly better position for white because white was able to capture a lot more than black. But that's not what Shin wants. He actually wants a lot more. And this is where the game becomes insanely exciting, and it's probably the first reason why this game is, in my opinion, the best game of 2022, is that next move Shin plays the A3. The amount of reading behind A3 is absolutely insane. So first of all, let's understand what A3 is doing, right? For viewers who are not immediately sure what is going on. First of all, A3 is a sente. If white tries to fix this very urgent problem in the center, that's going to be a more serious problem because now when black hanes, white cannot block the connection, which means that this group is dead as well as this group. White only has 2 moves to stop this connection. The first one is to play A5. Now this A5 is a bad move. It's not going to work because now black can play exact same variation that I just talked about. The problem now is that because of the A3 move, white has no way to clean capture black inside. Right? This could result in some sort of but this is disastrous because if white loses, then both groups will die. So this is pretty much game over at this point because black was able to get A3 for free. So looks like the answer is not hard. White has no choice but to block at a4. After this exchange, Shin mysteriously plays another Atari move at c11. So for most amateurs, this is like an obvious answer. Like you have to connect here, right? Don't you? If you don't connect here, how are you gonna continue? So as amateur level players, we might just be tempted to connect right away at b10. Even myself, right? Even the high amateur Dan level player would just connect here without reading further. But actually, if white connects at b10, this is immediately game over. This is not even a mistake. This is a blunder for white if white connects at b10. If white connects at b10, well, first of all, white would not be sitting here playing today. That's just because that just proves that you're not one of the top players in the world, right? Because you can't read things out. When white connects, black will come back and play h2. You might be wondering, like, huh? Why is black coming back to start a liberty fight? Does black have enough liberties here? So if white hane, looks like black has 1, 2, 3 here, and then black has 4 liberties. But actually, because of this exchange, black can now throw in at a9. So I want to go really slow at this variation to show you how delicate this is. White has to capture, right? First of all, white cannot connect because we can just capture. White has to capture here. After white captures, black will block at a7. This is even more mysterious because black used to have 3 liberties, but now black has 2. And then white has 4. And it's white's turn. So white has 4 liberties, black has 2 liberties. It's white's turn. How can it even be possible for white to lose this liberty fight? But let's see what happens. If white Ataris, black will capture this stone at a5. White needs to answer. This is an Atari, so white will capture a2. Now black will cut at b12. This is a forcing move because next move, black will capture and then capture the 6 stones. White has to Atari, and now black comes back and squeeze 1 more liberty. So at this point, white only has 3 liberties, and the black has 2. White captures back. Black now captures over here. This is an Atari, so white has to go back and fix it. At this point, black will come back and finally take white down to 2 liberties. And now look at what happens. If you take here, I can take back. And then you can't really squeeze over here because this is a self-Atari. So this becomes a double ko. And then turns out that white is just dead, right? If you go find a co-threat, I will just answer. You take back, I'll take back. So white does not have infinite amount of co-threats, and therefore, and then this is just a common double ko, which means black really has 3 liberties because of this self-Atari here. Oof. So that was an amazing amount of reading from Shin. It shows you why he's the #1 player in the world right now, because he actually read a lot. Okay, so that's actually not what is played in the game. Me, obviously, as the founder and creator, or the guy, the guy who, the Joseki of Mies Joseki is named after him. It shows you how strong he is as well. Obviously, he spent some time and he read this out, and he's not falling into Shin Jin Seo's trap. So the next move, Mi actually plays out the correct move. That is to the Tsuji at a10. So this already is an amazing game just because of these super strong, delicate moves. When white plays here, first of all, what is the purpose of this? So if black goes ahead and follow up with the old plan, so at this point, if you squeeze here, white plays here, you play here. So at this point, what's going to happen is white can actually connect. This is the difference between connecting and then playing the A10 move. So locally, there's no problem for white. If black cuts, we can just play here. If you take, I can take back, and this is very important. If you keep ataring me, I can capture the stone, and when you capture, I can connect. So that shows you there's no problem for white locally. So when white connects, what can happen is black will keep playing this, and then when black captures, white will capture. When you play here, white will capture back, and then no matter what black plays next, white will capture the entire group, and then that's gonna be game over regardless of where black is going to play. So that's game over for black. So that is the difference, is that because white is able to connect at A9 and preventing the double ko here. All right, so after these amazing exchanges, at this point, the ball is thrown back to Shin Jin Seo. So what happens after this? How does black get himself out in a decent fashion and continue the game in a playable state? I will leave this to another video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this crazy fighting, and there's more amazing actions coming from both players later on in the game, but I'll do this in a next video. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.